there I was. Have you ever felt like really sick, really run down, you're not quite sure what to do, you're always trying to kind of improve your life, you're making really good progress, you're doing the good habits, you're disciplined, and then when you get sick, it happens and you're thinking, well, what do I do now? No one's really spoken about this or covered it kind of in length of what you could do when you actually get sick and are on self-improvement. And I want to reflect on when I was sick the other day and kind of the steps I took, which kind of made me feel like I came out the other end and just felt so much more accomplished, proud, and more productive. And I have like a number of lessons to share with you, which will kind of help frame some essentials of what you definitely need to do in order to help feel better quicker so you can get back to it and keep striving. So there I was on the day, of course, I was sick. I kind of woke up and I was feeling just terrible. Like I knew I felt in a situation where I couldn't go for a run, I couldn't ride my bike, couldn't do my push ups, couldn't go to work. And so that kind of was when it hit me, where I just basically decided, you know what, it's time for me to go back to bed. Messaged my manager, which we'll talk about in a sec, and then basically just slept, right? And this kind of took us through to kind of me waking up like late morning. So I'm kind of gonna like take you through step by step. So if you kind of listen, you'll be able to understand at certain key points what to do first, and kind of as you get better, how to progress and keep staying on top of getting better. So then as I woke up, I wasn't super hungry yet, because I guess that's the thing, your appetite isn't as strong, right? So what I did was I got out my journal and kind of started to take a bit of a stock and audit. So what I kind of did preceding this was kind of looked up on the internet and YouTube to see what others recommended. And kind of there was one point that it was sort of suggesting to consider taking a bit of a stock and audit, which is exactly what I did. So what I did was I started with excuse me, I started with the idea of, okay, work. Well, I get to take a sick day, right? So that's the thing. I work at the time, I'm on a contract and I don't have a permanent position yet. However, because of how entitlements work for full-time work, you are of course allotted a certain amount of sick days in the year, which means I could take this day to be sick, all the while knowing that by not going to work, I would still get paid, which would then translate into me still having enough money to pay my mortgage. So kind of that gave me that sigh of relief, which I was really grateful for. And I kind of compared that to when I was a bit younger, or times before when I was sick, when I used to work as a barista at Chibo, just making coffee, right? And if you don't show up to work, you don't get paid, and then someone will take your shift, which sucks, right? So that was kind of like the first thing I was super grateful for, to be in a job that allowed me to take sick leave. And then kind of comparing that, I'd since being at that job, I'd kind of been fortunate enough to get like mini promoted, and then kind of like an enterprise, like a kind of like a slight additional pay on top of that. So kind of gone through like two slight pay rises, if you will. So that was something to be really grateful for, comparing to when I was sick the time before that, if that makes sense. So like financially, like it felt like I was starting to work towards something. And then also like, so that's kind of that side. And then also like I rent one of my rooms, so that means that there's money coming in through that. So these are kind of things that I was like feeling grateful for and starting to work and figure out. Like, of course, I'm working as passionate with this, like with YouTube and making content, and also like putting stuff together in my head to provide value to you, of course. So that's where, like, the last time I was sick, pivoting onto that, I actually hadn't put any of that in place. I hadn't finished my ebook life cycles. I hadn't made a website. Like I hadn't made anything that was kind of like actionable or tangible. Whereas looking back at the time of being sick, I actually had videos like ready to be uploaded and like a whole schedule because I was kind of like organized, right? So that meant again, I could be sick and not necessarily have to worry, just focus on getting better, right? So that's kind of that. And then there's also the aspect of food. So I moved out of home. I'm pretty organized. I do a lot of like meal prep. So I've kind of got some meals for the week. But of course, feeling sick, there's still kind of the equation of dinner and what I'm going to have for dinner. So this time when I was sick, I'm really grateful. Like my girlfriend came over and got fresh food, cooked me like fantastic meals, cleaned up. So I didn't have to worry about any of that, which then translated to me feeling even better when like sleeping and stuff because I was able to properly rest and not have to stress about exerting myself. So there's those aspects, right? And then I guess from a fitness perspective, lately at the time of like when I was sick, most recently, I was like challenging myself to do daily push-ups in the morning. And I'd gotten to about 280, I think, and then I gotten sick. And just like reflecting on this, again, the time before I was sick, I wasn't able to do anywhere near that amount, maybe 30, 40 if I was feeling particularly energized that morning. But that would probably be like it. I wouldn't really have the endurance to push and like the stamina and fortitude to do that. Although similarly that time I was more conditioned through running, so I was faster as a runner and more consistent. But still, point being, like that was kind of like a point of comparative I was getting up or trying to kind of flesh out through this. And that then kind of takes me to feeling a lot better by being able to take this audit and stock and be grateful for those around me that want to help me. Having the stability of a full-time job that allows for sick leave, having meals prepped, being organized and creating content, like all this stuff made me start to feel, okay, we're doing pretty good. And then it kind of helped me figure out, well, what are some actual essential things I could do when I get better? So like, for example, roller door had been damaged, so I needed to get quotes for that. So in kind of my mind, I kind of thought, well, that needs to kind of be done very soon as well, because it needs to be replaced. So tick number one. Then another thing, well, now I've got this time off, I should probably get around more so to do my taxes, right? So that was kind of like another thing that would like be important and needs to be done, right? Another tick. So what that means is, again, I was able to kind of have a bit of a game plan. So then of course I like went downstairs, had breakfast, so on and so forth. But particularly with this like most recent illness, for me, swallowing was really difficult. So previously where I would have 4 to 5 liters a day very easily, this became quite difficult, and I'll kind of retouch back on this because it becomes important at a later point, like a very key lesson that I want you to take from this, or what I'm sharing is one of the things to do when you're sick on self-improvement, to just really rest up better, so get back quicker to it, right? So there was that. So I kind of did that, had lunch, and then of course watched like a bit of a movie and then went back to sleep. I mean, ideally I probably could have read a book, or should have read a book for that matter, but kind of like I wasn't really in much of a condition to like concentrate. I just wanted to chill. So from a perspective of like rest up, that means literally just sleep. So I will say that I probably could have slept a bit more, but I was pretty disciplined in the sense that I tried to sleep where I could. I mean, there was a point where I was feeling really bad when I was sick, and I kind of just like watched like an anime series to kind of take my mind off the pain and kind of distract myself a bit, which I'm going to kind of like touch on now why it was really bad. So at the end of the first night, going into the second night, and I believe the third night, sleeping became really difficult. It became difficult for a number of factors. One, I had a really pounding, like strong headache. Two, I started like coughing quite a lot, so I was just like not feeling great. And then three, it was really weird, like trying to sleep, like I felt a bit delirious. Like I just couldn't, like it was just really, really hard to explain. Like you're trying to fall asleep, but then there's this kind of like angst in you and you just can't quite like achieve it. Like you just can't quite relax, settle down. It's really weird. Also, keep in mind that when I was sick this time, it was really hot outside, so I kind of had to run the air conditioner. It sucks being sick when it's hot. Let me just put it that way. So I kind of had to do that. Grateful I've got an air conditioner in the room, but still, it's like these little things kind of add up. So what I kind of realized when I saw a doctor, I think on the fourth day or third day, was that I was really dehydrated. This is like a real big embarrassment point for me because I'm always consuming lots and lots of liquids. So if you are sick, you seriously do have to find a way to drink. And particularly if you were like me and it's really difficult to swallow, you need to have stuff like soups, teas. And in the case of me where I wasn't drinking that much, you need to have stuff like, there's a product in Australia called Hydrolyte. It's basically an effervescent tablet which combats and restores and rehydrates you. Invest in that, it's not that expensive, and just put that into your water. So at least it kind of helps you to know that by drinking that, it's going to rehydrate you more. So it's kind of like an extra bonus drink. So that will kind of help you to effectively have that feeling. So then when you go to sleep that night, you don't have to worry kind of about feeling delirious, getting a headache, not being able to sleep, and then taking longer to recover. Because what we're trying to do is shorten the time, not working on your progress, your goals, everything you're aspiring to do, by simply just being smarter. So that is probably like the most important essential thing. Because I did note that for the third night, my girlfriend made this amazing vegan pho, and because I had so much liquids in it, had lemon, had ginger, that kind of felt like I'd had a lot more liquids, so I wasn't as dehydrated, but it was still somewhat difficult to sleep because the thing about dehydration is it adds up in the day and you have to kind of be on top of it. So you'll notice when you urinate, if your like pee isn't almost quite clear, you're lightly dehydrated. So this instance, because of when I was sick, it was quite a deeper like yellow straw color. So it's kind of like, okay, well you're dehydrated, you simply need to drink, like stop messing around, drink water. So like have Powerade maybe as well, I think, but definitely have Hydrolyte. Just get the fluids up, right? So we've talked about journaling to figure out what's important next, hydrate, and then in these first 3 days, or I think the first day, when I was feeling better in the afternoon, I made some calls to organize some quotes for the roller door. So that made me feel like I had effectively managed kind of being at home and being available to show them the issue and kind of get that ball rolling. So that was like a big tick, which even though it was like, it's not necessarily going to make me feel better, I think me being an organized person, it just kind of helped me feel that like I was still being productive in kind of like what are the bare minimum things you need to be working on, which kind of like, I guess then in turn led to me feeling more relaxed. So when trying to also, I guess, sleep during the day, you want to like close your blinds. For me, I found it particularly helpful to listen to like, say, some nostalgic video game music with some rain sounds. That really helped me to transition to a nice sleep. Like that, helped to make things feel better. And I guess simply by the final day, because kind of after getting the doctor's certificate, rehydrating, I felt a lot better. I think the fourth night sleeping. So that meant on the final day, even though I was technically sick and I wasn't feeling the best, I was my best version of myself, I guess, which then resulted in me having the energy to clean the house, which felt good. It's like kind of refresh, get the stale air, clean the house. Like there was just rubbish everywhere. Start organizing my taxes and send them off for review, which is another big tick, right? Then there was also organizing, got invited to a family event. So then organizing not only the food to cook, but also the ingredients that we'll need to start cooking the stuff. Another tick. So all these little things then help you. So I guess the point is, it would help you when you get better. You don't feel like you have a million things to do because you're so behind. So I guess, and then in those times of when I was sick, kind of I think the second and I think the third day, I had the people come to check and quote me for the roller door. So that meant I could kind of start getting that ball rolling as to who will make the repairs. So that's kind of like another thing. So I guess like recapping this, you of course want to, number one, like rest means sleep. Two, do like an audit of your life, where you're at with a lot of things, what you can plan to do when you're sick and what you can plan long term, like refocus on your goals. Hydrate, seriously, take like hydration tablets, like definitely if it's difficult to swallow. Have lots of soups, have like your cup of soups, tea, add like ginger, lemon, stuff like that will really help to combat what you're feeling. Start figuring out from the journaling, like the bare necessities, what you can do now to kind of take the burden away from when you do get better, you don't have a million things to do to kind of get those balls rolling that you otherwise would be tempting to leave off and stuff. And of course, don't go to bed late because you need to be sleeping lots and lots. So go to bed at an earlier time. I didn't touch on that, but that's kind of like pretty implied, so to speak. And that's simply it. So the point of this video when you're being sick and on self-improvement, like obviously like I wasn't going to go do push-ups, go for runs or anything stupid like that. I was just going to focus on resting and recovering. Because the thing is, the purpose of the way I see this when I was sick was to conquer the mountain of being sick, or conquer little things that you can do when you're sick to result in you conquering life, or feeling that you're more ticking off these little mountains, which then result in when you feel better to go back and again conquer the big mountain, because you're conditioning yourself. So by conquering mountains, and you're conquering life, right? That's what I'm trying to get with this. And when you're sick, it's not that it's an excuse, it's just a slight chance to reflect and reframe and make sure you're taking stock and looking after yourself, so that you can still feel good, like you're conquering mountains and conquer life when you're sick, right? But then also, when you are better, you're already primed, because you haven't slacked off. Like this time I was sick, okay, I watched some anime, I watched a movie or two here, but like I didn't play video games. So like things like that, you're slowly starting to get things happening, right? So of course, if you'd like to help me out, please subscribe, comment below kind of other things you do that when you're sick to kind of help you feel like you're achieving something, or other tips you would consider sharing. If you'd like to help me out more, or need some help, I do one-on-one coaching, the link's below. I'll help you figure out your fitness goals, or even like a fitness plan, or even just some more general goals and kind of work towards that. If you want to have a way that you can just be fit and be full of energy and kind of save lots of money getting to work, getting to school, I offer a book called Life Cycles, where I teach you effectively 6 lessons worth of commuting into a 160-page ebook, which has guides. It's very easy to follow. There's pictures, there's explanation, there's links. There's so much stuff to get you on the bike to conquer mountains and conquer life. So like when you are, of course, feeling better, right? So that's the full extent of today's video. When you're sick, conquer those small mountains and you'll conquer life. So again, as always, conquer mountains, conquer life. Thank you.